You're saying
Everyone is
hello.
running. Credence! First of the house. Love it.
Yay.
That's
Surprise, not surprised.
awesome. Awesome. I imagine we'll start seeing some folks rolling over the next few minutes.
Yeah.
How's everyone doing? Everyone got some fun plans for Thanksgiving? I was just telling Kristina, I'm down in St. Petersburg, Florida with my wife's family. So, Kristina, what are you doing for Thanksgiving? I don't think I returned the present you asking that back.
That's okay. So I am off all this week, but I could not miss out on this. So I was like, all right, let me shower and look presentable for this. Otherwise, I'd still be like in my non-good sweats. These are my fancy sweats. Anyway, I have family coming. My mother-in-law is coming, my sister-in-law, her wife, and my nephew and my niece are coming to stay with us Wednesday through Sunday in our new house. So we actually have room to have people over, but we are not doing a traditional Thanksgiving. We're going to do ribs.
What's that?
Ribs.
Oh, ribs. I think you said libs, as if it's like some event.
No, we're going to do ribs. And we're going to, my husband's Korean for those who don't know. And so we'll probably have some Korean dishes too. I think we're doing a Korean night. Yeah, we're going to have a good time.
That sounds good. Wait, pork or beef ribs?
Oh, I think they're pork ribs.
That'd be nice.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. All I know is that when he makes ribs on the grill, they are
phenomenal.
I can't even speak when I eat them. That's how great they are. But anyway, cool. I'm seeing a lot of new names or people I haven't seen before, at least. So I'd love, as we're giving it like another minute or two for some people to roll in, let us know in the chat. Just make sure you change the to box to everyone so that everyone sees it. But where's everybody listening in from? And let us know if it's your first time here.
Yeah, where are you calling in from, and where are you doing Thanksgiving if you celebrate Thanksgiving?
Ooh, yeah.
Awesome.
Ooh.
Hiring process. Very cool, Joshua. I'm curious if you got some like recruiting emails.
Ooh, yeah.
Fun to comb through.
Recruiting emails are my favorite thing for those who don't know. Oh, more people rolling in. England. All right. It's much late. It's what, early evening for you? 6 o'clock? 5 o'clock? I can't remember.
6, yeah.
Yeah.
I just had a call with someone in London. So that was
I've been stalking you both on LinkedIn. Hey, we're used to it. We probably stalked you right back. It's all good.
As I said, I had a call with someone the other day and they were like, I know you, but you don't know me. It's a strange way to start the call, my friend.
Oh my goodness. I've had that happen. Or when I get on with someone on Zoom and they're like, wait, you're the avocado lady. Like, oh yeah, that's me.
That was good.
Oh my goodness. All
cool.
right. Let's kick off. How do you want to kick it off, Will? Let's do this.
Let's do the rewrite that we just walked through. So yeah, you are subscribed to wow, my brain just like shut off for a second. If you're subscribed to the Sales Hacker newsletter, you get every week, Kristina and I do a rewrite of an email that we've either received or have helped someone with. We showcase 2 takes on how to do it. So we like to start this conversation off with one of those emails. Sort of sets the tone for what we're hoping to do with y'all today.
Yeah, and for the new people, what we normally do is we run through this so you get to see it before it's in the newsletter tomorrow. But at the same time, once we're done with that, it's an open floor in the sense that if you have a question about email, if you have an email that you want to bring to the floor to have it rewritten or reviewed, all you'll have to do at that point is raise your hand. So there is a button at the bottom of the Zoom page that says raise hand, and we'll actually turn your microphone live so that you can ask your question or give us some context on what it is that we're reviewing live together. So we'll jump into our email first. Let me pull up the screen here. Stand by. All right, Will, you want to kick us off here?
Yeah, so this is an email that I helped the rep with. And the idea behind it was pretty simple. They were trying to sort of tell this narrative. And so we titled the episode Leave Storytelling to Marketing. The subject line is, ever wonder why? So, Will, ever notice some reps close less than others? You might wonder why polished reps get their forecasts wrong and why other times a rookie saves the day with a fluke. In our experience, what goes in the pipeline holds far more weight than ability. With Blank, you can map out your TAM, find the best accounts within it, and get a hold of the right people. Can I send a short video to show you? And what I love about this email is it's fairly short. It's not a long email. It's very simple, but Kristina, I think the phrase you used to describe it was kitschy.
Yeah, it's kind of kitschy. I mean, just from the subject line and probably the first 3 or 4 sentences are just a little too kitschy for my taste. I agree with you, Will, that it's there's definitely some good elements to this in the sense that it's pretty brief. They're using the white space really well. It flows, which is a good thing. But yeah, it's just a little too kitschy and a little too I think we were talking about this earlier, a little too complex in all the different problems that they're trying to surface here.
Yeah, a lot of different things brought up. There's a couple other things that I noticed within, if you're analyzing this from like a data perspective, I posted this on LinkedIn today, but the number of questions you ask has a pretty dramatic impact on response rate. So this email has 2 questions, which you might think is fine, but it's actually pretty suboptimal. So the way that I rewrote it was to make it to 1 question, which is the optimal number of questions. If you saw the post, you saw the data that I shared, which is the top 3 question counts would be number 1, so like 1 email or 1 question per email. The second best performing would be 0 questions. And then the third best for some odd reason is 5 questions. And if you're out there with 5 questions, please share your email today because I'd love to see it. But yeah, so I like boiled this down and simplified it to 1 question in my rewrite. Do you want to scroll to that?
Let's do it.
Sweet. So I put a couple subject line options in here. Yeah, one of the things with the original subject line is if I see that in my inbox, Kristina sees that in her inbox probably more often than not, we know what's coming. We know what we're about to get into. We know we're about to just get like pitch slapped with something. And it's not even that like the message inside could be terrible. It's just like I've immediately lumped your email in with all the other ones. It's because when I go through my inbox, just like your prospect, they're reading for categorization. They're not reading for comprehension. And so understanding these patterns and figuring out how you can break them. So with my subject line, I really like to speak to something internal, call it like internal camo, but it's not that it's deception, right? It speaks to what's going on within the email. So like pipeline, it all comes back to pipeline as one of the key lines within the email that I wrote here. So I kept with the simplistic theme. You'll see here, and I reduced it down to 1 question. So Will, given your experience in sales, I'm sure you know even the best reps miss quota. It all comes back to pipeline. At company, we can help your team prioritize the accounts in your market. We'll even surface the best people to talk to. Would this help your team? One of the phrases in the original email was TAM. And I always encourage folks to remove the acronyms, the overwhelming numbers within their emails. I was literally on a coaching call earlier today, and the rep had like 4 different metrics and numbers they were like trying to track throughout the email. And I'm like, if I walked into your room right here and I just started pouting out like, hey, you could get 2 to 4x the amount of email replies, saving 30% time per email, blah, blah, blah. Like, would you like to, like, what would the percentage increase in meetings booked be if you were able to boost your response rate by X%? It's like, I don't remember any of the numbers, right? Like, it's just like gone. I could have inserted like a giraffe emoji and like probably gotten the same reply rate as if I included the number. So it's just like same thing with these acronyms. Most people don't actually know the acronym that you're trying to state. And so removing that from your language and saying something a little bit more conversational, like accounts in your market, that's a great way to just like reduce the frustration for the reader. Kristina, I know you had some feedback on this, but one of the things is I tried to speak to an observation around like their experience in sales, and just like use that to reframe that original question into just a statement to help sort of optimize for the math.
Yeah, I really like this. And I think I told you this earlier. I thought maybe you might have the winning email. And yes, we will take a poll after we share both of our rewrites. But yeah, it's really simple. And what I really like is that it flows well, but you also focused on one of those problems, right? Missing quota, which is, managing SDRs, like, I don't want any of my reps to miss quota, right? And you're kind of honing in on one piece of the pie, because that original email, to be honest with you, with all of the problems that they were talking about, it could have absolutely been broken into 3 or 4 different more elaborated touch points, right? Mm-hmm. So I like it. It's simple. Your inbox triage is right on point with the subject line. I'm going to open it because pipeline matters. So yeah, I really like this. I thought it was well written.
Thank you. Well, and I love yours. Yeah, as I mentioned, when I saw yours, the pattern break, I thought was really cool. So let's go through it.
Yeah, I was feeling kind of kitschy too with my subject line. I was like, how can I keep this kitschy feel, but make it a little bit more about like on topic, right? So I was thinking about like, it's all about the base. I don't know why this morning. So I said it's all about pipeline, or using something like pipeline velocity or the right pipeline. Just to kind of simplify it. And again, to get people to want to open it because it's about something that's important to them, right? This is my email, and I didn't like it until I read it out loud the first time. I think I might like it now. But Will, noticed you're managing a fairly large sales team. Stick with me. If you guys know Will, we all know he's not actually managing a really large sales team, but whatever. Thought I'd reach out. I'm willing to bet that pipeline forecasting is a huge priority for you, and accuracy is even more important. We're helping sales teams at X and Y close more deals by surfacing the right accounts and prospects at the right time. This means reps will be focused on more quality accounts, open to exploring how we can do the same for you. Cheers. And so what I'm trying to do here, and I know Will has some good feedback he gave too, is, there's a few things here. One is I'm trying to show that I've done a little bit of research. I know because Will is managing a team. I call that out. Will kind of has a similar setup, right? And then this is a way that I take away being super assumptive, but also show that I'm a subject matter expert by saying I'm willing to bet. And so by using language like I'm willing to bet, I'm saying because, and this is the part you don't see, because I've had conversations with other people like you, right? Or because I'm tapped into the market, or because I know what problems people like you are really experiencing, I'm saying I'm willing to bet versus like, I assume that pipeline forecasting is a huge priority for you. And then I like to just show how we're doing it. And then I liked, we're helping sales teams at X and Y close more deals. This is all great, but I wanted to kind of break the noise up a little bit. And so that's why I kind of summed it up to the value prop here, which is your reps are going to be more focused on quality accounts before I go into my call to action. But Will, any other thoughts you wanted to share?
Yeah, I put in the chat too. I love the willing to bet. It's a fantastic pattern break. The other pattern break that stood out to me was the carrot. Right next to this means reps, because no one's really doing that, right? And so if I'm quickly trying to scan through this email, the average amount of reading time is going to be about 11 seconds. I'm going to see that carrot and be like, what the heck is that? And I'm going to go back and I'm definitely going to read it. Because I can't just like lump this into the standard like this is going to be, the standard, this is going to be a classic like pitch kind of thing. I'm looking at a comment here. I've noticed a lot of sales emails skip I or we. Like this one starts with notice your. So one of the things we're doing here is we're optimizing the preview text. Cutting out that I means that we can put more text into the preview. So when they're going through their inbox, looking at the subject line and seeing that first line, what you're looking at there is you're going to see more of, notice you're managing a fairly large sales team. We're trying to get it up and in front of the individual, that this is an email actually written for them that is going to be relevant to their day in, day out. And so just cutting out a simple thing like I, you could even actually rewrite noticed as saw, S-A-W, and that'll actually increase the amount of text they can see. So just some of the thinking there. But as far as pattern breaks go, I thought this was really cool. Yeah, the framework for how you laid this out, right, is you made an observation and you explained that it's your reasoning for reaching out, which helps like set in the reader's mind, like, okay, I understand why this person's here now. Now I'm in a mindset that I can absorb information. And then it's credibility, this cool pattern break, interest-based CTA, right? Which is a really great way to like structure an email, because they're like, okay, I'm at ease because I understand why this person's here. Then it starts with, I'm willing to bet that this is a big priority for you. And then you back up that bet with, I know it's a priority for you because I've worked with companies like X and Y. That framework is a really great way to introduce topics. It's people always ask me about like putting a case study into an email, which Kristina, you'll probably be familiar with this framework, but the idea is I like to structure a case study as BAR. So background, action, results. I don't link to case studies. I'm not trying to get you to click through or read some PDF because frankly, you're never going to do it. Instead, I just tell it as a story. Like, oh, when we met Kristina over at Interseller, she was trying to prioritize her accounts. We gave her a solution that helped her see exactly who to talk to and who to talk to within those accounts. As a result, BAR, background, action, results. I can put that in the chat.
Yeah. I did it for you.
You're ahead of me. And that's just sort of, that's kind of what you're doing here too, right? Which is like, background, we've helped X and Y. Results, they surfaced more of the right accounts at the right time. And then there's this kind of implied action that they used your software. But it's the same framework that's getting applied there.
Yeah, I think this one was fun. This one was a little bit more challenging this week, but I'm glad we could give everyone a sneak preview. Before we open up the floor, I'm curious, because I love this part, Will, selfishly. If you think Will's email was better, say 1 in the chat. If you think my email was better, say 2. And we don't get our feelings hurt.
No, not
That's
at
why
all.
we do this. Like, email is a very subjective game, so feel free. But I mean, 2 is the right answer. Yeah, Joshua, you're right. Credence. Yeah, my people are showing up.
Okay. No, I loved your email, so this is great. And I just went on a tirade about how great it was. So
it definitely didn't hurt the process, right? Awesome. Okay, so this is the best part of the show. Is we want to start helping some people get super tactical here. So don't be shy. This is a safe place. There is no judgment. We've been doing this, this is like our 8th time maybe doing it through sales. I don't even know. We've been doing this for a little bit now. And so we want to make sure you feel good. But if you want to raise your hand, if someone has a question that they want to bring to the forum live, if someone has an email they want reviewed or rewritten, raise your hand and let's do this.
Yeah, Sterling, I see your name in the chat. Tell me what's going on at Tiled, man.
Oh yeah, you want to promote Sterling?
Yeah, let's yank Sterling off. I want to talk to him. How you doing, bud?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Tell me how it's going at Tiled. Tell me how your emails are looking.
It's good. Drinking from a fire hose right now, so trying to intake stuff. This is my second full week that I'll be at it there. So it's good. I think right now where I'm struggling the most or where I'm going to be using, I haven't sent a lot of emails yet, but what I'm doing is I'm working in expanding Tiled within our current customers. And so what I am doing is trying to make the differentiations between our ICPs and being able to then take use cases and bring up positive and good information from, working with CS to write those right emails, but also knowing that we have hopefully a warm connection going into it.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's always great because you start that email out with that warm connection.
Yeah, that's kind of the goal.
Yeah. And then it's just about simplifying after that point. So maybe I would help if I had some context on Tiled, of course, and like what that context is, but curious to see what you've been putting together so far.
Trying to think. Honestly, I haven't sent out really any emails. I've done some LinkedIn stuff a little bit. Mm-hmm. I'm slacking. That's all I'm going to say is I will be more ready to be put on the spot when I have it. I haven't had any emails really sent out yet, so that's my problem. Okay. But
well, you're gonna have
fair enough.
You're calling out a good thing, but that's kind of my thought process, right? Is two parts: reaching out to those higher level people and bringing relevant information in a very quick manner, and tying it back to how we're already connected with them. Mm-hmm. And then we're going to be also trying to do more of a groundswell motion and getting lower reps. Let's think, branch managers of things giving them information to hopefully learn a little bit more about how Tiled could help them out because we're helping other areas and just kind of sharing that information without pitch slapping them.
Yeah. And is with Tiled, is it a product-led growth like kind of motion where like somebody could trial it within the organization?
Yeah.
Nice.
It is now. Yeah. So it is. And it's in a quick sense, what it is it's Tiled is a format where you can take your designs, so think XD or Figma or Sketch, where you design an experience that you want. Instead of you needing to go in and get someone who knows code to put it in, you can use Tiled that will then embed a interactive feature and allows you to interact with content without needing to know code. So think of like an app-like experience or website.
Yep. Yeah. And one of the things I challenge you to do is avoid saying things like no code, sort of these like buzzier phrases. The thing that, because I see a lot of product-led growth emails, of course, having a company that does it, but also, interacting with other companies that are doing it. One of the things that I see always stand out is, something like, hey, noticed a few folks at your company are using the tool. They're using it because we make it easier to create interactive content. Is this something that would be interesting for your team? Is this something that would be helpful for your team?
Good point. Yeah. And staying away from, like you said, that no code and all of that, which is something that I've noticed that a lot of people here are getting too stuck in, which is, it's a great point, but I think we need to find a different way to talk about it because no one talks around with their friends. Hey, I'm doing this no code stuff.
Exactly.
No, it's more of
Thanksgiving this week. You can practice at the dinner table, right?
I like it.
Yes.
Well, cool. All right. We will, we'll have to see you back when you're sending emails so that we can go through them. Awesome.
Sweet. All right. I have a doc open just so you know, so I'll share my screen in here in a second. If you want to promote Joshua next. We have an email from Joshua. We have an email from Brittany. So we're going to start with Joshua.
Sweet. This is my lack of technical prowess, but how do I promote Joshua here?
I'll do it. If you
Why is this not easier?
It's okay. Let me see if I can do it when I'm sharing my screen. Oh, I can. Okay. Yeah. Wait, did you just do it?
No, I didn't do anything.
All right, Joshua. You just, hover over their name and there's like a button that says allow to talk.
Oh,
I think I went through.
I have a button to chat you, Joshua, but not a button to promote you. So
it's okay. Maybe I'm more special than Will is. It's okay. It's all good.
You
anyway.
saw the votes. You saw the votes. That's true.
Okay, just to give some context.
Yeah.
To make this a little bit easier to understand. So I've got my 6th and final interview tomorrow with the Senior Director of Sales. This was something I sent earlier on in the hiring process, just to kind of illustrate that I have a pretty good understanding of how the outbound email marketing works. I made references to several people that are inside the company in a subtle way. So like the closing line either way, that's something that's very popular with Vin Matano, and I think he got it from like Josh Braun. And then referencing the CRM software earlier on in the email to make sure that they understand that that would be something that I would include once I have access to it, and kind of like a little wink. I just don't have access to it yet.
Gotcha. So this is essentially a follow-up from an interview kind of email?
Correct. Yes.
Cool.
Oh, I totally took your intro wrong, Josh. I thought you were saying that you were working
that I'm
as a recruiter.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, you're actually trying to get
still
a
working
job
on getting my way in.
Okay.
Correct.
Got you. We are good. Okay. Okay. And so this is the email that you actually sent to. Okay, so was this sent to, how many people did you send this to?
So I CC'd the recruiter, Eli, because he's the one that I've been having active communication with. And then I included Carmel, who would be my direct report. And then Kevin, he's the Senior Director of Sales. That's the ultimate decision maker on hires.
Gotcha. Okay. So you decided to do kind of a group thank you versus like a individual one-to-one thank yous in this situation, right?
Correct. As in a way to combine the multiple conversations, because my second interview with Carmel was very personable. My third interview was very technical. So kind of bridging the gap between the two.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And I'm sure there's some folks out there that would like say do one-offs to every single person. I personally don't have a preference one way or the other. If you're doing like if you're emailing one person versus the group. Kristina, do you have any thoughts on that?
I mean, listen, so I was in recruiting the first 6 years of my career, and I've been working with recruiters since then. It's been a little bit, but most of the best practice will say to write custom thank you emails to each person. But at the same time, I am a big fan of breaking up, the best practice flow. I like this email. I think it's nice. I'm curious, since I'm assuming you already sent it off, Josh, did you get any responses? Because normally you don't on thank you emails, but I'm curious.
Yes. So Eli responded about 2 hours later and said that all of the feedback was positive, and then they went ahead and scheduled my next 3 interviews. They directly after this email.
Congrats.
Well, then there you go. I mean, who cares if the desired outcome happened, right? Like you made it to the next stage in the hiring process, which is awesome.
Right.
So, I mean, I'm all about, so when I think of email, by the way, because, we're all writing a bunch of different emails, and I think it's all about testing, right? What might work for me might not work for Will, etc. And so I think what's really cool is I like to work from outcome backwards. So if I'm getting booked meetings, or if in your case, I'm moving forward in the interview process, then who cares about the rest, right? Because the right desired outcome's happening, the conversion's happening. But yeah, no, I think this is really great. I think Will is on a tangent here, shortening this email. That would be the only thing. If we were making it more like taking sales tactics, I think maybe just simplifying some of the language.
That's actually one of the notes I put in earlier on in the conversation that you guys were having about how your prospects are reading for categorization, not comprehension. So you don't have to include nearly as much information as you might think at first glance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I'm curious, what kind of role are you interviewing for?
Yeah, so I'm coming from a sales manager role in a telecommunications company and applying for an SDR position.
Nice. Okay, so you're trying to break into this specific space.
Exactly.
Okay. I love that. And I love that you link to your portfolio too, just to show a different side of like your skill set. That's pretty cool. I'm letting Will get into that here.
So I'm just do this. One of the things I would move is I would move hopefully I got the emails right since I don't have access. I move that to a PS, just so that we could like keep more of the content and the context top of fold. And then just comes down to kind of like simplifying. Yeah, I'm seeing like semicolons, commas, a lot of those punctuations in my brain like signal off like warning signals. So if I see a bunch of commas, that's typically like a red flag for me that like it's probably going to be kind of complicated to read through. The other piece here is like the actual that's what I'm looking for. The actual like paragraph size. It's pretty bulky, and so like, and most likely they're going to read this on a mobile phone, and so just making it quick and easy to scan by adding a little extra white space. Then instead of saying, by the way, Kevin, comma, Carmel and I talked a bit more, I would just say Kevin, Carmel, and I, Carmel, and I talked about my side business doesn't didn't get to bring it up during our chat. If you're curious, check out my portfolio. Would love your thoughts. Something like that. Yeah, the other piece that I might add is a little bit more context on like how you think you're going to help the team, and I'd add that like right here.
Yeah, that part is kind of missing just a little bit. Like you do talk about how great the interviewing process was, what it's like being on the other side, sharing that portfolio, which I think is really powerful. I'd probably add after would love your thoughts, just and thanks again for the time right today. But yeah, it is missing like, hey, it doesn't even have to be like how you see yourself helping the team. It could just be repackaging your enthusiasm for why you're excited about this role, right? So it could be like, you know, after these conversations, it got me really excited about this particular piece of what the SDRs are doing there and how my telecommunications experience can translate, right? Or, you know, something like that. Just to call out something that just kind of jazzed you up a little bit more. But yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah, all of that is super usable.
Yeah, and listen, you might find yourself sending more thank yous after this next round of interviews, right? So
I'm open.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And the reason I pulled out the name Kevin instead of like hiding it behind like in between those commas is like you've got the names like right next to each other. And so if I'm like quickly scanning, I might miss who's being referenced, etc. And so like that's why I break out like Kevin. You could even do it like as a colon, right? And then it's just like we talked about my side business. I didn't get to bring it up. So that's just way it's easy for Carmel to see that and be like, oh, okay, that's not my part of the email to read. Doesn't matter. That's for Kevin. They'll still read it, but they'll just be able to sort it faster.
Yeah, I like that. Is that helpful, Josh? You're muted.
Sorry, I was over on the Google Doc. But yeah, super helpful. I'm actually going to reference this tomorrow, kind of to show some engagement with the industry as a whole.
Nice.
Sweet. Yeah. And feel free to reach out to us too after this next round if you want some help. So I know Will and I are both happy to always help or give you another review before that next batch goes out.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I'd love to. This one is actually going to be the final. So we'll kind of see how it goes.
Yes, and keep us posted. We want to know if you get the job.
You'll see a lot of engagement from me either way.
Sweet.
Love it. Well, good luck. That's exciting.
Thank you guys. I really appreciate your help.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. All right. I think the next person I'm promoting here, stick with me, is Brittany. And then there's another email on the next page. Will.
Yep, I'm looking at it right now.
So wait. Oh, there you are, Brittany. Sorry. It took me a second. All right, Brittany, you are on here.
Hello.
Hello. Thanks for being patient.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much for doing this. This is my first time joining, and I'm really glad that I did. Getting a lot of great pointers.
That's awesome. Well, I appreciate that. So I'm checking out your note here, and you are going to probably laugh at me. It might just be that I'm not your typical buyer. What is an intranet?
Yes. So it's essentially an internal website for organizations to communicate with their employees. A lot of smaller, more modern companies don't even really have them. So it's typically larger organizations that have been around for a while have them. And so internal communications folks will post company announcements, or there'll be links to culture, team building, DEI, all kinds of stuff like that.
Nice. Okay. So it's sort of like the mix between like your internal wikis and your Slack and like Salesforce chatter, for example. Got it.
And who are you reaching out to, Brittany? Like who's your prime target?
For this cadence, this is the first email in a cadence where we typically will focus on senior manager of internal communications. Sometimes it's literally an intranet manager, usually like up to director of comms. So depending on the organization, sometimes it rolls under corporate communications. There's a lot of stalking on LinkedIn that happens before we reach out to see, is this person, only on the external comms side of the house, or are they actually caring about how, employees get communicated with?
Yeah. And I think the term intranet, and if their title is like intranet manager, I would go with it. But it kind of goes back to my acronyms point, which is like you might run into the term not necessarily like resonating. And so that could be one piece. The other thing is it might resonate, but they might scan it and say internet in their head. So that was like the other thought I had, is when I first looked at it, I thought it said internet. And I was like, oh, is this going to be, like a email about like upgrading to like Verizon Theos or something? Just an interesting perspective I kind of had from my first glance at it. And that kind of comes back to how people read email, right? So like, if we're thinking about how folks are going to read your email, the average amount of time that they're actually going to spend doing it is about 11 seconds. And so if I've got 11 seconds to capture your attention, let you know that I actually am reaching out to you, and like bring it up in a way that we can get a conversation started, there's some key things, and some of them you're doing, right? Simple. The writing that you have here is fairly simplistic. Like you're not using complex sentence structures. The terms are a little bit long, but overall, I don't think they're like, crazy. I'm looking at like this sentence here. Imagine, amplify, extend, existing, intranet, automatic, pushes, information, action, employees. Those are a lot of big words. They're common, but they're big. And they stack up next to each other in a way that makes the message feel like it's going to be work.
Yeah.
And some of the ways you can do that, say they're just phrases you have to include. You can't really get around it, is break it into new sentences.
Yeah.
Put it into different lines, or just kind of try to keep per sentence one of those simple ideas. So like, with Kristina's example here, we're helping Y company organize, amplify, and automatically push. One of the things that's nice about that is it's its own line. And so it should be like fairly easy to parse through.
Yeah, I can see that already. And I also like, because one of the things that I struggle with just like philosophically is how much personalization. And, I see these emails getting touted on LinkedIn that are like, they look like they took 45 minutes to write. And I'm like, I don't know. I like what you're doing, Kristina, because it's saying, if that person opens it, they're going to see, like, I specifically looked at you. I know that this falls under your, because without that, like the version that I have, it doesn't, that's a piece that's missing, I think. So that's helpful.
Yeah. And you mentioned spending a lot of time like doing personalization, stalking these folks on LinkedIn. I would challenge you to build out a process. Actually, send out in my newsletter this Sunday. I've talked about building a personalization process. And so what that looks like at the start is take 5 minutes, just like set a timer. It's like, I'm going to spend 5 minutes researching the individual. Say it's Kristina, right? When I say personalized, you've got like a list of resources in your head, right? And so go through those resources, write down what you're finding, write down where you're finding them, and do that a few times, and you'll start to notice some patterns. And so what you'll notice are some resources are really reliable, but the information's not that impactful. You'll notice that some resources are really impactful, but not that reliable. And then you've got like the great ones that are both, right? Like their experience on LinkedIn might be like a stellar place for like finding what you're going to personalize around, or the insights page for the company is a great place to, focus, because you can see where growth is. You can see, what the structure of the organization is, whatever it is, right? Organize that information and prioritize how you're going to spend those 5 minutes. And the way you go through it is you go through your high priority. You got like your top right quadrant within a matrix, and that's your reliable and impactful info. You write down what's going on there. Then you go to your reliable resources and you write down what's going on there. Then you go to sort of like the hidden gem section. And basically it's your last little sort of effort of, oh, maybe I went to their careers page and I saw they're hiring for X. And if they're hiring for X, it's like a perfect reason for me to reach out, right? But the point is, like, keep the hidden gems for last because it's going to distract you from the process. So then you have like a really built out reason for why you're reaching out. And then it's really quick to actually personalize that email. And you'll find that these patterns kind of repeat in why you're reaching out. And that process gets faster and faster.
Wonderful.
Awesome. I think we flipped seats there. I found that I can't give feedback and rewrite at the same time. It's really challenging. So I was like, all right, you kind of took the heavy lifting on rewriting the first one. I figured I'd take a rewrite here for Brittany. So feel free to read through it. Obviously everyone can see it here. I just tried to simplify the language a little bit more. And yeah, to Will's point, and I'm sorry if you said this, Will, but on the personalization front, I'm a big fan of using kind of like building blocks and frameworks for this so that you're working smarter, not harder. And you can kind of conceal the internal process of not feeling like you need to go high level personalization. If it's not there and you find yourself spending more than like 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes for a really like priority account, have a fallback, and that fallback should be something more like this. Like, I know that you're managing it. It's enough to know that you're getting to the right person and that you see them and what they're responsible for. That's what I like to do, just so that I'm not getting sucked in that rabbit hole of trying to find something.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So, Will, you were saying that did this topic of the personalization process that was in an email newsletter you sent out? Because this is my first time. I don't know who you are before today, so I'd love to get a copy of that. Is what I'm getting at.
So, what I'll do is I'll just do a LinkedIn post about it tomorrow, and then you can.
There we go. Yes, I'm following you now, so I will see it. Awesome.
That's easy, people. You told me what I should write tomorrow, so that's easy enough.
There you go.
But the idea is pretty simple, right? It's just about like prioritizing where you go and having a process for how you go about it, because you're trying to build a full, complete picture for why you're reaching out in a constructed time frame, so that you're not just like spending hours going down these rabbit holes. And you know what resources you go to, you know your reasons for why you're going to reach out. And then within those reasons, you kind of have frameworks for like a logical sense of like, solve the following thing. Given that, I imagine you're dealing with a certain type of problem. And then you can sort of like package in, we solve a problem with X. Is that something you want to explore? Or we've helped companies like X solve that problem before. Is that something you're dealing with? Becomes a really easy way to frame it out in your brain of just like, based on this, there's probably this going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm excited to throw in the willing to bet maybe on like the second or third email of this cadence, because we're getting some decent traction with this cadence, but I knew it could be a little better. So I'm glad I was brave enough to come in on my first time here.
Me too. Yeah. And you've got, I mean, listen, this is brief, which I really like too. So you've got really good components here. I think it's just about continuing to test and see what the data says for you, but it doesn't hurt to throw in some different tests there and see if maybe the ROI is a little bit higher too. So
yep, absolutely. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thanks for being vulnerable and coming on live.
That's great.
All right, we have another email that I put.
Yeah, it's Angela's. I see it here.
Yes, Angela, I'm going to promote you. I'm slow, so stand by. Angela, where are you? There you are, Angela. Okay. Wait. I don't have the button. Oh, wait. Yeah, I do. Ignore me. All right. I have the button. Hi, Angela.
Hello, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Great.
Doing well, thank you so much. I'm super excited and nervous and anxious. So let's see what happens.
So, Angela,
Don't be nervous.
You're on the partnerships team. I don't need to actually know where you work. What I need to know is XXXXX. Is that a household name?
Yes.
Like how household?
Like
Uber household or like IC?
Yeah, Uber, DoorDash household. Definitely, if I said it, you would know where it was.
Okay.
I would hope.
In that event, I actually don't hate starting out where you work. And the reason is because somebody gets an email from like, I'm saying Uber because my wife works there.
Okay.
Like someone says like, hey, I'm reaching out, I work at Uber. Like people tend to read whatever the heck they had to say. It's like, hey, I'm reaching out from the brand partnerships teams at Ford Automotive. You'd be like, what the heck is Ford reaching out to me about? Right. So I actually don't hate that if it's a household name. If it's only household to say like your ICP, like, hey, I work at Salesforce, it's not the same.
Right.
No, yeah.
It's definitely more on the Uber DoorDash side. I mean, I don't mind telling you. I just wasn't sure if we need it. Oh. Yeah.
It's not necessary. That's the only question I had about it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, it's Instacart. I don't really care if you know.
I like this. Mm-hmm. Okay. And I agree with you, Will. I'm like, if it's a brand that's super recognizable and most people know it, like that household brand, I'm a big fan of using that. Right. And so the way that I would potentially simplify this is like first name, Angela here. I work on the brand partnership team at Instacart. And it looks like, so the nice to virtually connect with you, I would probably remove that. Mm-hmm. But then when you get into like, did you know retailers are selling your products on, wherever, right? On Instacart, I would then use that as your preface for reaching out. Like, hey, Angela here, I work on the brand partnerships team at Instacart, reaching out because we have some retailers that are currently selling your products and you can name those products on Instacart, that I'd, reach out, right? So I feel like that's a basis for reaching out, and it's something that can be scalable too, because that's your whole reason for reaching out, right? Is because you know that retailers are selling products and you want to make them aware of it. And so that's kind of how I would form it instead of using that nice to virtually connect with you. That was just one small thing that I noticed as Will was talking. Okay. I see Will doing his magic here.
Yeah, just
yeah, so I'm gonna let him do his magic here, but let me see here. Are you available within the next week or two? If so, please let me know. Yep. And you could just probably leave off the if so, and that I look forward to hearing from you. Let's talk about it. I'd love to set up a time to discuss your current performance and how you can expand on that. Ooh, okay. Are you using a carrot, Will?
I'm stealing your carrot.
You're stealing my carrot. Okay.
I mean, I didn't want to call you out, Will, but I wanted to make sure you saw that, Kristina.
Oh, I see it. Trust me, I will talk to Will after this. No, I'm kidding. I constantly steal some of his stuff too. It's all good. That's why we're all here. But yeah, I'm going to read what he's writing out loud because I think it's really good. Hi, first name. I work on the brand partnership team here at Instacart. We're helping retailers get better sales in our app. Given your products are already on our app, I thought we should connect. We can talk through ways to boost sales. So he's kind of like implying like this is the reason, right? Want to talk next week? Oh, Will, this is fire. All right. I don't have to talk anymore. Go ahead, Will. Take it away.
Yeah. So basically it's just like, hey, I'm at this company that you definitely know about. We help. My job here in this specific title is to help retail teams get better sales within this app. Your product's already in our app, so we should be talking. Here's why we should be talking. You can get more money. Let's talk next week. It's very simple kind of structure. I don't talk about how we're going to do it. I don't talk about really anything other than I try to build intrigue with the household name. Bring in the fact that, we're helping folks get more sales. I want to talk to you about how you could do the same thing. We should talk.
Perfect. It encompasses everything that I said, but so much more simplified, which I know that Will, just knowing a little bit about lavender, I know that's a big one of your caveats, is when you actually structure the email, you want to make sure that however they read it, whether it's over the computer, over the cell, that is short, sweet, to the point, just to grab their attention. So it definitely makes more sense the way you structured it.
I love this. And the best part about it, Will, is like you're not giving, pun intended, you're not giving all the carrots away. There's enough vagueness here that I'm like, if I'm the retailer that you're reaching out to, I'd be like, wait, how are my products on your app? Like, where is that coming from? Like, I want to know. So if anything, I'm getting on the phone with you just to find out more information on like how that's happening and how, if it's doing well, then I want to know how I can do more of it. And so I think this all just really implies all of that without you really having to spell it out. Yeah, I want to talk next week because I want to know, want to know all that. So yeah, I mean, I'm seeing, love this rewrite. Who wouldn't reply to that? This is probably one of the best rewrites you've done, Will.
Wow. Well, I'm actually taking some experience. So I used to work at a company called Health Grades. And so I was like one of the first hires. We were selling into like dermatology, dentistry, et cetera. And historically, the company had only sold into hospitals and pharmaceuticals for ads. And so one of the things that I leveraged when I was doing outreach was, hey, your doctor's already on our site. People are trying to make decisions about where they're going to book an appointment with the information there. Have you checked it out? Like, have you checked out what's going on with your doctor? And that was an effective strategy at the time. It probably would still be effective. There's probably some mistakes that I made, like some cheesy cliche things that would be like totally out of fashion now, like hope this finds you well. But, we live and we learn.
Yes. Awesome. Any other questions, Angela? Was this helpful for you?
No, that was helpful. I'm definitely going to take that feedback back to the team. Right now, currently, we are given cadences to use that don't look anything like what you just wrote, of course. And I didn't feel like they were very functional. So I was trying to just, take the bull by the horns, so to speak, and come up with my own introduction cadence just so I can test it to see, what type of open rate or reply rate that I can get prior to going back to leadership and saying, hey, this produced this result. So I like Will's better. Can I put the one back I'm going to put the one in the chat just for you, Will. There you go. So.
Aww. I will tell you though, Will, not to cut you off, but one thing I just want to say, and then Will, please go. I get super excited and proud of people when they're doing what you're doing, which is taking the bull by the horns and saying, you know what, I'm going to do this. I'm going to bring the data back and I'll ask for forgiveness later when I show that it works. So that's all I got to say. I love that. That's powerful. So
well, thank you. Yeah, it's better. It's easier. What did they say? It's easier to ask for forgiveness than permission.
It is.
Absolutely.
And I think the other thing is, it's not necessarily the people on the other end's fault, right? You mentioned like these folks don't have the experience in sales, and even if they did, that experience might be just dated. We think back to what worked in email 2 years ago, BC, before COVID, right? The emails that work now are just very different. That style has like adapted very quickly. Just since we got started building Lavender, like you could write a 250 word email and not see a reduction in response rate compared to like a 50-word email. Obviously that's changed pretty dramatically. If it takes somebody longer than 30 seconds to read, which is like 110 words, we'll start to see reply rates like fall off. And so, it might just be that they're coming from a certain experience, or they're trying to pick it up and they're searching like what's a good looking email, and they find some HubSpot blog article from 2016 with some templates in it. That's where testing, iteration, these different aspects come into play. And it's actually one of the big reasons I'm not like a huge template guy, is because templates go out of style, but frameworks, the building blocks for why you're reaching out, those are things that don't really go out. It's like the minute word choices that get overplayed. Those are the things that go out.
Reach. Awesome. All right. Well, thanks so much again, Angela, for bringing that to the forefront. All right. I think Credence wanted to hop on. We only have a few minutes left here. If there's some questions, let us know. But I think Credence wanted to, so for context, for those that are new here or didn't tune in last session, a couple weeks back, Credence brought an email that we rewrote for her. And she has some stats she wants to share. So I'm going to bring her on because I want to hear. Sometimes we don't get to hear the stats. So Credence, talk to us a little bit.
Okay, so this won't take up very much time, so it's perfect that it's right at the end of the meeting. So you and Will wrote similar but different enough emails that I decided to just go back and forth in all of my new leads that I was adding to cadences in new accounts. So I sent 27 of Will's version and got a 16.7% open rate. I sent 24 of Kristina's and got a 13% open rate, but an 8.7% click-through rate. Woo. Which is very interesting because there's no links for them to click other than onsolve.com.
Mm-hmm.
So the difference between the two emails, if you want to know, Will's was, have the past couple of years changed how you think about critical events? Our clients are now thinking, how do we manage things like protests, disease outbreaks, and severe weather? I imagine this is a conversation that's come up at company. Want to hear how OnSolve can help? And Kristina's, just slightly different, was curious, after the last couple years, how has it impacted the way your org manages critical events? We're helping other orgs in your space get full visibility into critical events intelligence and give them the ability to better communicate with all internal stakeholders. Do these challenges sound familiar? Open to a couple ideas on how we may be able to help. So yeah, I'm really curious what the difference was between how those two were worded that caused more people to click through Kristina's version.
Credibility.
Well, maybe. There's a couple of thoughts that I have here though, Credence. And again, I appreciate you for coming on and like sharing your stats. I get a little, so I know it's a very small sample size. Like obviously, ideally, I like to see at least 50 prospects, ideally 100 really tested through something. What I'm a little concerned about, and I think we should chat offline maybe, is deliverability, because when I hear an open rate that's like sub 20%, I get a little concerned that it's not even the copy. Maybe there's some sort of issue with deliverability, which again, you just may not know it. But I think what I'd be also really curious about is, did anybody reply yet, or has anyone gone through any other steps in your process? I'm curious if you have some further down the funnel stats.
Yeah, there's no replies yet. These were all leads that were added to Cadence last week. So since it's a holiday, month and everything, that I imagine that plays into it heavily as well. But yeah, I would definitely be interested in whatever thoughts you have outside of that.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if it depends on how many steps have been sent out. If it's like the first step has been sent out and you haven't really sent too much after that, then I'm not too concerned, because that open rate should start to grow over time. But yeah, it might be something worth chatting and just diagnosing a little bit and just testing your deliverability. That's all. It was just one small thought.
Yeah.
One thing that does stand out to me though is the click-through rate, which is whatever Kristina has added there has sparked a level of curiosity that they're looking to learn more. So for those that did open, for those that click through, I would probably speed up the rate at which I follow up with them and just say, hey, did you have any feedback on what I sent over? Or, given the past couple of years, did you have any feedback on what's going on?
Yeah, is Kristina, are you saying I need to pick up the phone?
Yep.
So that's how my cadence typically works. I have a 21-day cadence with 10 calls and 4 emails. The first call and first email happen on the same day. And then I think there's a 4-day pause between the next call. The second email doesn't even come until after like 2 or 3 more calls. So there's that opportunity to discuss over what was in the first email. And then the second email that I send out, I used to say, any thoughts, big mistake, no more. Now I lead with your FIRE framework, which is giving something of value. By chance, do you follow, so-and-so on LinkedIn or this web page or this blog or whatever? Thought you might find it interesting, as I know your team is, building out for new security risks or whatever it is. So I can definitely give you more, give you stats after we get a little bit further in the cadence to see where we're at there.
Yeah. I was actually going to ask if you have a value add follow-up, because I think that'd be a really impactful follow-up of just like, hey, check out how this company is managing events. This is a really cool way to think about it.
Yeah, that's my new process, instead of just the stupid bump that I got a reply to one of those bumps one time. Any thoughts? Recently, actually, it was a few weeks ago, that said, yeah, my thought was actually that I thought I had asked you to take me off your list because this is not relevant to me. And I was like, oh my God, just tell me right now. He had it, but still.
I've still seen that bump working for teams. So it's not that it's the worst thing on the planet, but if you're going to bump, I like to provide the context for why you originally reached out, and then bump. So it's like, hey, given what's going on, or given whatever observation I made to get started, given you've got a quickly expanding team and over several locations, thought my note would be particularly relevant. Did you have any feedback?
I was using that, Will, on a few of them, particularly just using headcount, because we are a security, and a proactive kind of security software. The more headcount grows, the more important it is to look after all of them. So I do use that also as, as companies' headcount continues to grow, I think this would be worth a discussion. When are you available? Kind of thing. So yes, that tidbit was valuable to me. I think you dropped that one on the first session that I attended, and still no replies directly, but we're working on it.
Yeah.
Sweet. All right. Well, thanks for catching us up. We'll definitely chat again soon.
We will get to the bottom of this.
Yes, we will get to the bottom of it. All right, we ran over. Thanks for the 14 people who decided to stick with us 4 minutes over time, but we'll be back in a couple weeks. I don't know what the date is. I want to say it's December something. That's probably at least like a safe zone there. What? 2 weeks. Boom, December 6th. So we'll see you in the best month of the year, December.
Finishing strong.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.